For those of you who do not know me, my name is Tina Gridiron. I am with Lumina Foundation, and I have been a member of the Lumina Foundation staff for the last 11 years. It is my pleasure to be with you here this morning. It is my pleasure to see a packed audience of community advocates, champions, leaders, and friends committed to education. Lumina Foundation would also echo that education matters. The entire pipeline matters. And when we are asked to come and spend time with community leaders to share what we have found across the country and marry it with what you are already doing, we see our mission to increase college preparation, access, and success move a little bit farther. I will just share a bit of information about me. I have family in the Lansing, Michigan area, so I was able to drive out last night and spend time with family. I am living in Indianapolis, Indiana now, which is where Lumina Foundation is headquartered, but I'm originally from California. I'm a West Coast gal through and through. Los Angeles is home for me, even though I've been away for a while. So I'm getting used to, I'm learning more about the strength and the amazing communities that are in the Midwest as I spend time in both Michigan and in Indianapolis. But Lumina Foundation is all about college completion. We believe starting from pre-K all the way through to that 2-year and 4-year degree, it is an educational experience, and we want to partner with communities that see the entire pipeline as important steps to getting students and families to the goals that they aspire to. We turn to researchers across the country to find out, what does our country need? When we think about college degrees, 2-year, 4-year degrees, credentials, what would be a general ballpark, a target, if you will, a North Star for our country to achieve in order to be vibrant and to be strong and to continue to lead the world in innovation, creativity, workforce advancement? And the researchers told Lumina Foundation that 60% was a good number. It wasn't the highest number that researchers came to us with. It was a good number, that if we looked at the U.S. population as a whole, that if 60% of our population had a 2-year or 4-year or high-quality credential by the year 2025, that as a nation, we would continue to be strong, innovative, creative, and have the intellectual capacity, the academic capacity, the skills and capabilities to lead this country and the world into the future. So, as a young foundation, Lumina is only 12 years old as a foundation. As a young foundation, we decided to create a mission and a vision that we would stand on leading to 2025. We exist in perpetuity, but for the next 13 years and for the last 12, this has been our mantra, to see our nation get to 60% by the year 2025. Now, some of you may have heard in other spaces that we need to be first in the world, or our country needs to double the numbers. If you were to look at the data underneath all of those different goals, all of those different messages, all of those different mantras, the 60% is still about right. So from Lumina's perspective, whatever a community does to increase their current level of college attainment, getting closer and closer to 60% means that you are part of the conversation about what works now and what needs to work for the future. I was a little bit distracted when my technology didn't work in the beginning, but I want to begin by saying thank you to the Barry Community Foundation for inviting me today. I want to say thank you to Bonnie and her staff for leading this conversation. Lumina, about a year ago, spent some time with community foundations across the country and learned about the strength of convening, the strength of networking, the strength of advocacy, and the role of the champion that community foundations play across the country. So we thank you for your leadership in convening this conversation and inviting Lumina to be a part of it. I also want to just give a moment of shout out to Brandy Johnson. I'm not sure if she's here. There she is, way in the back, because she was very instrumental in getting me a lot of research information about what's happening in Michigan across the country. I am in Indianapolis, Indiana. I shared with you I'm from California. It's important that I spend time with people who know the community that I'm about to go to. So I thank Brandy for giving me lots of great data and great information about what is happening, all the great energy that is a part of the Michigan conversation along the pipeline to college access and success. With that, hopefully, backwards, let's go forwards. A little bit of data. Lumina Foundation is a data junkie. We go to researchers and experts all across the country. We do a lot of work with U.S. Census data, and we looked at what is happening in the U.S. Now as compared to 1970. And what you will find is a consistent picture that income seems to be one of the highest drivers for college success. When we look at those individuals that actually achieve success at the 2-year or 4-year degree, income has a lot to do with what drives your success. And unfortunately, that income measure, that income driver is getting stronger and stronger as we have progressed since 1970. What we know is that education is important for all. And yet, our current system seems to favor those with high income. So when we look at rural communities, when we look at communities that have a very diverse income distribution, it is important to take a look at what is happening for individuals who are not part of your highest income bracket and make sure that the education experience that they are having is getting them the results that the individual needs, that their family needs, and that your community values. So, Lumina also looked at some international data to see where our country is in comparison to other countries. Because what you will find if you look internationally is that back in the 1970s, the 1950s, the 1960s, the U.S. was number one in the country, number one in the world for producing individuals with high quality credentials and degrees. Since that time, so you'll see the circle, the red dot represents our age group 55 to 64, and the blue dot represents our age group 25 to 34. We were once first in the world. We have now dropped to 11th for our younger age population. We are still fourth in the world for the older population, our more senior individuals. But other countries are spending a lot of time educating their younger population, seeing more individuals coming through the educational pipeline and then succeeding in college, which has caused us to drop to 11th in the world. Now, that might not be a compelling reason for your community to rally around college completion, but as a nation, we need all communities to take a look at what we can do to increase the number of individuals in our community that are taking advantage of higher education so that as a nation, we can not see Korea ahead of us, not see the United Kingdom ahead of us. We have a lot to offer this international conversation. And so what we want to make sure is that we don't allow ourselves to rest on our laurels based on what we have achieved with some of our older individuals, but still see the same kind of achievement for our young people as well. If you looked at the nation as a whole, who are getting degrees? Currently, we're at 38.7%, and unfortunately, since Lumina started tracking the census data back in 2006, we were only at 37.1%. So in the last, I would say, 6 years, we have moved a little over 1% as a nation. That might seem a little bit daunting. If we're at 38% now and Lumina is encouraging our nation to get to 60% in 13 years, some people might believe that's a little bit of a Pollyanna request, given that we've only moved 1.5, a point and 0.8 in 6 years. What we realize is that one of the champions, one of the drivers for college success is community action. Looking at our school districts, our colleges and universities, our community champions, and coming together to drive change. Even though we're at 38.7% now, there are communities that are already past 60%. So we know that it's possible to get to 60%. The challenge is how. If you look at this ring, there's a purple section in the bottom where we see the individuals with some college but no degree. Most communities spend the majority of their time focusing on education just for traditional age students, students who are going into kindergarten all the way through high school. The energy of the community is about what can we do to see those students succeed. And that is an important element to your education conversation. But as a foundation, we encourage you to look at those individuals within your community that have some college but no degree. Individuals that started at community college but for life reasons had to take a step out, or for health reasons had to take a step out. Because in order for our country to get to that 60% marker, we need not only the traditional age students going through the pipeline to succeed, but we need to tap into those in the purple arena, those with some college and no degree, to encourage them to come back and finish in order to be a part of that economic future that we know our nation is growing to. For communities that have a very diverse population, we often like to share information about what ethnic groups are succeeding and what ethnic groups are still experiencing some gaps in their educational success realities. And so we know that this is the reality for across the country, and different communities will be represented in different ways. But in addition to income, what we see here is that there's a certain propensity for different racial groups to also succeed. So as communities rally around college completion, rally around strategies to increase the success of students so that they're both college and career ready, not only are we encouraging a look at what is happening at different income levels, but also what is happening for different racial and ethnic groups. This is a very busy slide that provides some information about what happened during the recession. I don't know about you, but everyone has always read about the story of the PhD philosophy major, the PhD historian, the PhD art historian who couldn't find a job during the recession, and that for them is the reason why we shouldn't focus on college, because there aren't jobs for everyone who has a PhD, or everyone who has a bachelor's degree, or everyone who is going for that master's degree. What this slide tells us is that during the recession, the blue line represents those with high school or less. Our country as a whole lost more than 800 jobs. Those with high school lost 5.6 million jobs during the recession. Those with an associate's degree, we lost some of those jobs, but since the recession hypothetically ended, depending on your perspective, since 2010, those jobs have come back post the recession. But for individuals with a bachelor's degree, our country actually created more jobs during the recession. So even though you might have read a story about a bachelor's degree or a person with a degree that couldn't find a job, there might be a particular reason for that. But on the whole, what we know is education is a buffer during times of recession. During economic downturn, there are buffers for certain individuals depending on their education level. And so for those that say, college is not for me, fair enough. Get the degree and then still do whatever you want to do with the degree or not with the degree, knowing that you will have lots of opportunities to use it maybe 30 years from now, maybe 20 years from now. Getting a degree never hurts the individual, always provides extra opportunities for different pathways to take advantage of in your life. We always share the income distribution. Many people want to know, what's in it for me? Why do I want to invest the time to get the associate's degree or to get the additional credential or to get the bachelor's degree? And what we know from research across the country is that your income possibilities, your income opportunities, your income probability goes up if you have a higher level of degree attainment. So you'll see less than a high school diploma around the 20,000 level, high school a little less than the 30,000 level, so forth and so on this graph as a mechanism for just encouraging individuals. There is some individual income benefit to getting a college degree. Now, many people, when they think about college, as I shared earlier, they think about that traditional student that started in pre-K and went all the way through high school, and after high school went straight on to college. And in our common conversation, that is the traditional student. But what we know across the country is that if you look at that definition of student, that only represents 25% of students right now in higher education. The reality is the look of students, those individuals who are going straight through to high school and then going straight into college, though that's a small proportion of individuals that are actually enjoying college. We have more people that are working part-time, that are stopping out for a period and coming back, that are raising their families and coming back, that are taking advantage of life experiences and coming back, that are part of that 75% that are taking advantage of college. So one of the challenges for Lumina in sharing our mission is helping people see that we are not only about the traditional age student, but we are about that non-traditional student that communities need to be very intentional about embracing and bringing to the conversation, because our adults are key to reaching that 60%. Some people ask, well, if we're at 38.7% now, and Lumina, you say we need to get to 60%, and the researchers say we need to get to 60%, how do we do that? Currently, the research tells us that if we just do business as usual, the way we've always done it, we will have a 23 million person gap by the year 2025, meaning that we will not hit 60% if we just continue business as usual. There needs to be a radical movement, a radical commitment, a radical change in our thinking about the importance of being college and career ready actually being the same thing, and that college is part of that college and career ready for every student, regardless of the experience that they want to have now or maybe 30 years from now. And we've spent some time thinking about where do we put some of our energy. So if we wanted to reach that 23 million, if we wanted to figure out how to be radically different, we need to raise our current graduation rate to 75%. So we need high school graduates to graduate at 75%. I'm sure you can look at your Barry County data and see where are you on that marker. We're going to get to that a little bit later. We need the college participation rate. So those traditional students that are jumping straight from high school going on to college, we need that to raise to 70% in order to get to 3.6 million. We need more students completing college at public institutions, at private institutions, those students that jump into college. We need more of those students graduating, 5 million more graduating. Those adults, those first-time adults that actually didn't go to college, they decided to have a family. They decided to start an independent business. And then about 15 years later, that business no longer had a market in the community, and they found themselves needing to retool themselves, come to a new experience or a new understanding. And so we need to also touch adults who have never been to college, those first-time adults. We believe we can get about 1.5 million if we were to target our energy, and then the returning adults, 3 million there. What you will notice, the two largest buckets of where there is great opportunity, where there is a large proportion of students that we can tap into, are your high school graduates as well as your returning adults. Now, I don't know how many representatives from colleges and universities might be in the room. Is there anyone from here from a 2-year or 4-year institution? Not yet. What you will see is the largest proportion of growth would be with our colleges and universities increasing the completion rate. When we talk about education mattering, when we talk about the entire pipeline of who needs to be involved in the education success to make individuals both college and career ready, which is one and the same thing, because anytime you spend time in college, you're getting more career ready. They are not separate. They are aligned. They are coupled. College and career ready. Spending time in college is a good thing as it leads to many different career opportunities. We need more 2-year and 4-year institutions at the table with their community champions, because the attrition in college is real and is unacceptable. If less than 50% of students are graduating from a particular 2-year or 4-year college in your community, no matter how much work that you do here in the K through 12 arena might get lost if over half of them don't finish. So we need to be in partnership with the 2-year and 4-year institutions in our region so that we can tap that 5 million as well. You're going to have to give me a signal on time, because I have a tendency to ramble on, and I want to make sure that I don't get us off track. So let me give you a little bit of information about what we have found looking at the data about what is real in Berry County. I talked about our nation having 38.7% college completion. Our numbers based on census data from 2011 show that Berry County is at 28.7. But those with some college, no degree, 27% of the Berry County residents have taken advantage of college and not finished. That is a high community, low-hanging fruit, a wonderful opportunity to tap in. Those individuals with high school graduate or GED, 37%. So you're making progress towards getting people prepared for college and career. But 28.7 gives us a lot of opportunity for growth. Yes, there's a big mountain that we have to climb, but know that many communities are rallying together in order to climb that mountain to get closer and closer to 60%. During the question and answer, if there's more questions, I'm happy to go through, but I only have 10 minutes, so I want to get a little more information. So we looked at the attainment numbers for individuals at different levels so that you can get a sense of where the energy is right now and where the opportunity. Once again, this is another way to look at the data that was in the pie chart. So some college and no degree for men is 26.2%, and for women is 27.8%. This is another way for you to see whether there's a gender opportunity as you target strategies and activities to encourage more individuals to choose college, whether it's the associates, the bachelor's, or a high-quality credential in their local area. It seems that when, again, we look at Berry County data, similar to national data, that income matters. That when we have high rates of poverty, we are also seeing low rates of attainment. That there is a correlation between the income and the poverty level and what happens for their educational experience. And I have a vice president that often spends time saying, education and intelligence is available for all. It is not contingent on how much you make or your parents make. It is an opportunity for us to rally together to say, how can we make a difference so that poverty is not an indicator of educational lack, but it is a non-sequitur. It does not matter. It does not play a role because Berry County wraps its arms around all individuals, regardless of income, in order to see educational success. So currently, our data tells us that Berry County ranks 44th in the state of Michigan for college attainment. But if you were to graduate just 5% more of your Berry County residents, which would be 428, you would be 34th. 428 may be a manageable number to wrap your arms around. If you were to graduate 10% more, 856, you would move to 27th. And if you went 25% more, which is perhaps a larger vision to embrace, you would move to 17th. But what some communities want to know is what's in it for us to put the extra effort into getting more college degrees, to getting more individuals with high-quality credentials and degrees. And according to our running of the numbers, an increase of $22.7 million into the community, being invested from individuals who are either starting businesses, who are creating new opportunities, who are investing in the local infrastructure of Berry County. That there are benefits, economic benefits, not only to the individual, but to the community as more individuals become higher and higher levels of achievers in higher education. So today's conversation is looking at all steps in the pipeline, from early childhood education all the way through. And when I was looking through the agenda, one of the speakers is going to talk a little bit about collective impact. And when I look at those who are here today, I met individuals who are from the business community. I met individuals who are part of the library network. I met individuals who are concerned parents. I spent some time saying hello to some of the school board representatives who are in the room. And so what I know is there are individuals in this room room that are champions for educational success in lots of different ways. The question is, how are we working together? How are we linking all of our great interest, great commitment, great advocacy in a way that shows success for students? This, from Lumina's perspective, is just the tip of the iceberg of the champions and partners, both on campus and in the community, that need to be a part of the conversation to make a difference, to see more individuals with high-quality credentials and degrees, to make sure that Berry County is on the map as an example of what can happen in a rural community to make a difference around college success and college preparation. We, as a foundation, support communities all across the country, and we believe that community foundations are a strong driver in making sure that the entire community is always at the table around education matters. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to share a little bit about what Lumina is doing. I know that we're going to have question and answer period at the end, and I would be happy to drill down into more examples of what we are seeing with lots of different organizations. So, for example, if you are a business leader, I would check out CEOs for Cities. It's a national organization that is connecting with businesses and organizations across the country to identify what businesses can do. If you're working in a community foundation, I would say Education Trust is a national organization that provides rich data about how community foundations can engage in the college success arena. And if you all have any friends at any of the 2-year and 4-year institutions, the next time that the Berry Community Foundation calls a meeting, you want to make sure that you pull the coattails of your colleagues and friends, because they need to be at the table in order for all the great work that you are doing to see success all the way through to college completion. Thank you.